See you on the bell.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Blue Cloud Trading. My name is George. It is Tuesday, March 25th, 4:28 p.m. as I'm recording this after the close. We just saw Josh Brown and Guess on the halftime report, and we're going to go over the stocks that were talked about in the show. Before I do, just wanted to let you guys know we're getting closer and closer to hitting 18,000 subscribers. When we do, I'll be doing a bonus video where I'll go over how to use MACD, the technical indicator, or at least how I used to use it, which may be slightly different than the traditional sense, okay, of how most people use MACD. So you may want to, something to look forward to. Once we hit that 18,000 subscriber base, that's when we're going to make that video. Now, in the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, click that subscribe button, hit the join button if you want to access the member-only videos. Someone asked me about, do I share my actual trades with members? I do, with legend level members. Basically, let me just show you. If I click on this, all right, you'll get a daily trade update of my trades. In addition to that, there's an exclusive member-only video that I do each weekend where I go into detail of why I entered the trades, why I closed out of those positions, to give you a little bit more insight, right? I also share a proprietary scanner, the scanning results, actually, each day with legend-level members on stocks and sometimes ETFs that pop up so on the scanner. So that's something I think that's pretty valuable. So consider becoming a member by hitting that join button. But first, let's now take a look, guys, at the markets. We want to take a look and see how the indices did first. And you can see the Dow was up just 0.01%. NASDAQ up 0.46%. S&P 500 up 0.16%. And the Russell 2000 is down 0.56%. So just slightly up for the indices, right? Not that much, really. On the heat map, you could see what stocks did well today. You could see that Tesla was up 3.5%, Amazon was up 1.2%, Google was up, Meta, Apple, Microsoft. But NVIDIA was down 0.59%, and so was Broadcom, which was down 1.56%. The healthcare stocks did not do so well. Neither did the utilities or real estate, but energy, once again, doing pretty good, and so did the industrials. Here's the sector performance for the day. Just refresh that. Okay. You can see communication services, consumer cyclical, and financials, and energy were the top four. Utilities, healthcare, real estate, consumer defensive were the laggards. Okay. Here's the 1 week performance. And here's the 1 month performance. You can see that energy is the #1 performer this month. All right. So let's get into the stocks now. First, we'll look at the indice ETFs, like the SPY, the QQQ, and then we'll go into about 19 stocks that were talked about on the CNBC halftime report today. Some of those final trades, as well as some other stocks and ETFs. And then we'll also take a look at the Fab 7 stocks, of course. That's important. What else will we look at? Some sectors and ETFs there, and one of our members' requests. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. Here is the SPY first. We'll start off with the SPY. Now, something I want to just point out is the fact that, yes, we broke this downward channel here. Price gapped up. This was on Monday, March 24th. We had that little big gap up. And you'll notice that the price did not really move much today. It was only up 0.24%, and it stalled at that 575.35 level. Now, it did close up slightly above it right there, but this is a spinning top type candle. It's a reversal candle. The other thing I'm kind of concerned about is the fact that it's stalling at a level that's still under the Kijun-sen, the 26-period moving average. And you'll also notice that the volume has been declining. So as this move has moved up, the volume starts coming out. That means there's not as many buyers pushing the price up. And so that is... that's concerning to me. I'd like to see synergy. I want to see the volume increasing while price is moving up. How about the QQQ ETF? Same situation. Price moved up, coming close to that 200-day moving average there, that yellow dotted line. But volume also declining as price is moving up. So that's suspicious to me a little bit. Here's the Dow Jones. Check this one out. This one came right to the target, which was the Kijinsen, the 26 period. All right. And which is part of the Ichimoku indicator. Okay. And what happened? It formed a reversal candle. And this one did pop up there with high volume. But when you see a high volume bar and a reversal candle, that's usually not a positive thing. So we'll see what happens there. What that tells me is that there were a lot of buying and selling, but the sellers ended up winning in this situation because, as you can see, price actually closed, slightly lower than the opening price. That's why it's a red candle. So that's really important to keep that in mind. How about the Russell 2000? Also a spinning top pattern, right? A candle, reversal candle, low volume, nothing major happening there. The VIX dropped some more, down 2.35%, just under the 200-day moving average on the daily time frame. Okay, that's a positive. We want to see the VIX dropping. That's the volatility. FEZ, the stock Euro Stocks 50, it got back above that Tenkan-sen right there, bounced off the Kijinsen, looking bullish. It was the most bullish of the ETFs here. It was up 0.97% versus the Qs, which was up 0.57. All right, let's get into the CNBC stocks now. TOST, Toast Inc. was one of the stocks that Josh Brown brought up today. He's brought it up many times in the past. This is what it looks like on the weekly chart. It's still under the Tenkan-sen here. It's above the cloud. There is a decline here. We have a lower high and a lower low. So I would not be jumping into this one. Here's the daily time frame. You can see it's still under the cloud. CVX, Josh Brown's final trade, Chevron. So it has had a nice run overall. The only problem right now is the fact that you've got this reversal candle that's formed. And when you have one of these doji type candles, right? And you see this so far away from its equilibrium zone, which is the moving averages. I wouldn't hesitate to think that this is going to drop. Now, if it gets under the low of that candle, that's what I'd be watching. It's more than likely to pull back. It might come back to 161.88 or 164.68, but also just as could potentially come all the way back down to the Tenkan-sen, and that would be maybe around another 3%, from where it currently is. So keep an eye on CVX. Okay, not a time to be entering, in my opinion. It's a little bit extended. RDDT Reddit is still in a very downward channel. Okay. It might have broken through that channel. Let me see. Yeah, it did just barely break. You can see that this trend line here shows that it just broke, but did it happen on high volume? No. So I would not trust that exactly. Okay, so I would not trust this little break here that you see. And it's still under the moving averages. Not something I would be touching at this time. CMG, Chipotle Mexican Grill, still in a very downward channel. It's hard to tell when these things are going to turn around, but it hasn't happened yet. And there might even be an acceleration happening here. Do you see how that trend line right there is at a deeper angle? So you got that one, and then you have that. So I think CMG is probably going to continue to the downside. We'll see if I'm correct about that. DHI looks like it's bottoming out a little bit here. That's the DR Horton. It's building a base at least right here in this little area. But as long as it stays under the cloud, I'd stay out of that trade as well. I use the Ichimoku indicator, and it helps to identify when it's the appropriate time to be considering new long positions. And ideally, you only want to look for taking a new long position when price breaks above the cloud, like it did over here. Okay? That tends to lead to an uptrend. When it gets under the cloud, it tends to lead to a downtrend, as you can see. All right? So that's just historical. That's the way this indicator works. It's great. And it uses mathematical equations. You get the 9 period, the 26 period. The purple line is the 52 period. Projected 26 periods into the future. You've got single span A, which is the midpoint of the two moving averages. And you've got Chiku span here, the white line, which is the closing price projected 26 periods ago. And all these elements together helps me to identify the true trend of a stock on a specific time frame, by the way, because that's another thing you have to take into account. What time frame are you going to be trading? Is it the daily for you? Is it the weekly? Are you a much longer term type trader? Then you look at the weekly chart. And the weekly is telling me to stay out of this one too. You can see it just broke under this low right here. Okay, that's never a good sign. When you start breaking under lows like that, that is not good. That's the beginning stages of a potential downtrend, okay? Because we still have a higher high here from the prior high. So higher high, but a lower low. That's not good. And you can also see that this trend line right here has been broken between those two lows. That's been broken. And we are obviously in a downward channel right now, okay? Maybe even it could be a wedge, but it might turn into something, but right now I would not be jumping into this. Okay, KBH, also in a downward trend under the cloud on the weekly. I'd stay out of that one. Lockheed Martin is also under there, so not the time to be getting in here. Boeing, also under the 200-day moving average on the weekly chart. It's inside the cloud on the daily time frame, just barely breaking above the cloud. Not the time to get in. Wynn Resorts. This is Jim Lebenthal's final trade. That's a big no on this one. It just created this shooting star type candle. That's a big reversal candle. I would not trust this move up here. Okay. Even though it was up 1.37%, you got so much resistance above. I'd stay out of that one. Cisco dropping under the cloud still for a second day now. I'm sorry, third day. So I'd stay out of Cisco for the time being. That's the daily chart we're looking at. Here's the weekly. Weekly still looks pretty okay, except for that it's in between the two moving averages, but we don't have a buy signal here on the daily. Next Era Energy is under the cloud. Okay, just today got under. And on the weekly chart, we are inside, so nothing to do right there either. Let's keep going. ETN is Eaton Corporation. Here's the weekly chart. It is basically kind of like stalling in this area right above the cloud. On the daily time frame, it's under, so stay out of that one. GEV or GE Vernova is also under the cloud. Stay out of that one. India is inside the cloud. No on that one on the daily. Here's the weekly charts. Also same in that vicinity. It looks like it just broke a trend line. Let me see. Let me verify that. Yeah, it did. So it did break that right here yesterday on high volume. Okay, breaking the downward trend. So that's good. And you can see that this is on the weekly chart, by the way. You can see that the ADX is also dropping, which is why price has been moving up in this ETF, which is good on the weekly chart. What we don't have is confirmation yet. The reason I say that is because the cloud is still bearish. You can see the Senko span A crossed under the Senko span B right here. That's negative. And you've got the faster moving average under the slower one. Chiku span is under price 26 periods ago. So I'd stay out of this ETF for the time being. On the daily chart, like I said, it just broke through this prior high here. So it's starting to show strength, but it might be too early to jump in. Unless you're trading a shorter time frame. If you want to be really early on something, you just switch it to another time frame and just focus on that time frame alone, like the 2 hour. In which case it looks pretty strong in the 2 hour time frame. It's moved up since the 17th here of Monday, March 17th. It's moved up 5.78% and a nice little strong uptrend. But remember, it's a lot harder monitoring a 2 hour time frame chart than it is a daily. At least the daily, you can look at it once a day at the end of the day and say, okay, where am I today? I'm inside the cloud. Okay, I'll just hold off a little longer. Plus, once you have all the higher time frames confirming, like the weekly and the daily, and that's what my proprietary scanner does. It looks for only stocks or ETFs that are strong, okay, based on the Ichimoku indicator on both the weekly and the daily time frame. And those are the only stocks I'll pick when I'm adding a new position. XLK Technology is on the daily chart under the cloud, okay, showing a little strength recently, but the volume is not really there, okay, nothing major happening. Uber is on the daily time frame. We've got the faster moving average under the Kijun-sen. Let's look at the weekly. Yeah, it's kind of like stagnant here. It's not the right time to be entering, in my opinion. Okay, you've got Chiku span still underpriced. It's not ready yet. Lyft under the cloud, no on that one for sure. Oracle, same thing. Palo Alto Networks, popping above the cloud, but again, the faster moving average is under the slower one. It's kind of a mix here. It's kind of like garbled, okay? And when you see the cloud flipping and flopping around like this, and then you've got the Senkou span A, for example, okay, crossing above, and then it crosses under, and now it's moving up again. What that's telling me is that there's indecision here. And so we're going to be stuck in this consolidation zone probably for a little while. So this is not the time to be entering. You want clarity. You want to know where you're going to be. So how do you have clarity? You've got to break prior highs, like the 207.24 level, all right? Or this higher high right there. That's what I need personally. All right, let's go to the next segment here, which is the Fab 7 stocks. NVIDIA on the daily chart, under the cloud. On the weekly chart, above, but under the moving averages. So it's also not a buy signal here. Google on the daily is under the cloud, up 1.72%, but stalling at the Kijinsen. And again, look at the volume. You're not getting confirmation here that the move up is real when you start seeing the volume bars dropping. How about Tesla? Tesla started to show a little strength here with volume moving up, but now it's stalling also. Why? It's coming to a level of resistance, the Kijinsen. So it's very likely it could pull back now. I'm just saying, be very cautious with that one. Here's a weekly chart. It looks pretty strong still as a weekly candle. And here's the 2-hour, okay, breaking through the cloud for the first time in a while. There's been a little bit more interest, but I think that it could be a trap, a bull trap, actually. So be very cautious, guys. Microsoft, same situation. Coming close to that Kijinsen. We had a hammer yesterday. We've got a spinning top today. Volume declining, no on that one. Amazon, same thing. Stalling at the Kijinsen. All of these are up today, but they are they're starting to stall, and the volume is coming out, meaning less and less participants, less and less buyers. And then what happens? At that point, what happens is when the buyers start to basically shrink and there's not as many of them, right? The shorts are just ready. They're waiting up here, ready to pounce basically and take a short position possibly if they see weakness, all right? And they're going to try to take advantage of that situation and bring the prices back down. We still have April 2nd to worry about. So Apple also up 1.37%, but still under the moving averages. And on the weekly chart, you can see it's still, we got a lower high here from the prior high, lower low here. You know, it's nothing bullish here as far as I'm concerned. You can see that very clearly on this chart. Meta is under the cloud. We got a doji candle. And so that one I'd be, you know, all of these candles, you can find them with my candlestick cheat sheet here. So there's that spinning top. There's a shooting star. These are all bearish. With a hanging man, gravestone, doji. This is how you can understand the individual candlesticks, opening price and closing price versus a red candle that has an opening price at the top here, the body, closing price right there, highs of the wicks. You can get this candle pattern reference sheet for free on my Twitter page at Blue Cloud Trader on X. So at Blue Cloud Trader. Okay, so let's see. Let's go to the sectors, folks. XLE. These are the three strong sectors. I'm only going to talk about these. Everything else, I'll kind of skip through these so you can see how bad they look. All right, energy, though, coming close to 94.29. I'm a little concerned that it's coming to that prior level, and we got this reversal candle. And price, as you can see, is so far away from the moving averages here. It's, you know, if we see price getting under that low tomorrow, expect it to come down, all right? And we're talking about maybe about 3% or so. That's my expectation, 2.8. GDX is still holding up pretty good, okay. That's the gold miners ETF on the daily. Here's the weekly chart right above that 44.22. That's a really important level of support. Gold also moving up, but we've got that little reversal candle. It's not that far from moving averages, so I'm not too concerned here. But so I like it. That's the weekly chart. Here's the daily chart. So it's pulled back up 0.44% today. I think it looks pretty good. I like this one. And I'll just kind of skip through these. XLB's materials, USO, Bitcoin, US dollar, getting above the two moving averages here. It's at 88,115, but still under the cloud. XLC is under the cloud. IBIT ETF is a Bitcoin ETF, right under that Kijinsen, stalling. That's concerning. SMH also stalling here. Home builder stalling. Real estate is inside the cloud. US dollars under the cloud. All of these utilities. XLV broke back down. Found support right at the and closed right on the top of the cloud there. You can see it actually pierced it. See that little piercing? And then came right back above it. So that's good. We'll see what happens there, but it's not looking that strong. Consumer staples under the cloud today. Technology, we have this little move up, but again, low volume. Industrials came back above that trend line, but stalled at that other longer term trend line and created a reversal candle. So I'm concerned about that. Financials stalling right at the top of the cloud, but showing a lot more strength these days, up 0.56%. Here's the weekly chart on financials getting above the Tenkan-sen. So there's a good possibility that financials could recover here. We'll see tomorrow and the next day. UNG is natural gas still dropping. And here's the weekly chart. You can see it's still inside the cloud. Copper is inside the cloud. And that's it for the sectors. And we've got one member request, TDD, the trade desk. Josh Brown's closed position after a major drop today. That was back on February 13th. So he closed his position that week. Okay. Let me show you the daily time frame after it gapped down. And it's a good thing he got out because it dropped another. Are you ready? From that point, it dropped another 24%. Okay, so that was I would have argued against holding on to this thing that long, but it is what it is. Anyway, so TDD, I would stay out of this one. It's still on the weekly chart. You can see it's under the Ichimoku cloud. It's under the 200-day moving average. It is showing a little bit of strength these last couple of weeks. We've got a reversal situation happening here. But again, the stronger trend is to the downside now that we've got the future cloud bearish, price under the moving averages, Chiku span under price on the weekly. Here it is on the daily too. It's just showing a little bit of strength, but it could be very short-lived. So I would not be jumping into that one. And folks, that is going to do it for this video. I might as well show you real quick the country ETFs. I don't do those daily, but I'm going to show you real quick. Vietnam is still looking strong. It's still above the moving averages, even though it was down slightly. South Africa on the daily chart looking pretty good. Here's a weekly chart. I'm sure Elon Musk is happy about that. Peru, EPU jumped above 44.95. That looks pretty strong on the daily chart. Here it is on the weekly. So I like Peru right now quite a bit. Japan, here's the weekly chart, moving strong upwards, and so is on the daily time frame as well. Broke through that prior high right there. EW, Austria, this one dropped under Tenkan-sen today, but it's still in a strong uptrend overall. Here's the weekly chart. It's getting a little bit extended up in these parts. I'd be very cautious if you're holding on to Austria, because if it drops, it's a big drop. It's about a 7.5% drop to the next level of support there. Or the Kijinsen here would be another 2.8% if you're depending on what time frame. So on the daily time frame, it's your next support level is around 25.95. I'm sorry, it's around 25.20 or 3% away from where we currently are. Spain looking strong, up 1.62%, bouncing off that Tenkan-sen there on the daily. On the weekly, very strong. Germany, okay, building a nice little base right here. And consolidation. Hopefully, we'll see it move. I would even say, yeah, that's like a little base right there. Almost like a flag. So I think that's going to pop above 39.19 soon. We'll see if I'm right. Here's a daily chart. Okay, up 0.92. Poland. Look at this beautiful chart. Since January, Poland has moved approximately 38.5%. Pretty strong chart. Let's see, EWQ, France, looking pretty good, up 0.78%. Switzerland, EWL, up 0.15%. Italy, same thing, moving up. United Kingdom, looking good. VGK, European ETF, looking good. You have to also wonder, right? There's a lot of animosity taking place between the Europeans and what's happening with the tariff situation. They're not really happy with the United States right now. Is it possible that a lot of their highest, their investing community is starting to pull out of American stocks? It's very possible as retribution. I wouldn't be shocked. And so we're seeing them reinvest in their own countries. And so something to keep in mind, right? If this tariff situation can really turn very sour, especially if we see a larger group of, European citizens, Canadian citizens, Mexican citizens just completely stop purchasing U.S. products as a boycott. Think about all the sales from small, mid-size, and large U.S. companies, how they're going to be affected by that. It's a possibility. I'm just saying. We have to be very careful with these tariffs and stuff. So we'll see what happens. Guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I will basically throw another video out tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Check out another video I did earlier today. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.